FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Welcome, and you are listening to the Financial Survival Network. I'm Kerry Lutz. It's November 28th, 2018. Wow, month is almost dead. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving. It is the best day of the year for many of us out there. And hey, but the best is yet to come. That I promise you. Well, first, as always, we invite you to be a part of the show and to email us at kl@kerrylutz.com. Hey, well, you probably saw all this vote shaming going on, the belittling of conservative white women on their electoral choices. I thought we lived in a democracy where dissenting views were tolerated, but that doesn't seem to be the case anymore. Why did that happen? And what can you do about it? That's a good question. Amy Clark is with us now. Amy, we were talking earlier. You just had your first article published on townhall.com. You've been writing for the Washington Times, and your Moms March movement and Moms March USA. Hey, what's going on here in the country? Is this the same America that we all grew up in?
Well, it is, but of course, with the rise of social media, certain voices are amplified beyond the representation. I believe actually in this country. The title of my article was actually "Vote Shaming is the New Get Back in the Kitchen," and the reason I said that was because supposedly, as American women, we've come a long way from the days of being told where we're supposed to do, where we're supposed to be and what we're supposed to be doing, and have the choices and the freedom. But now here we are again. Now, if we speak up in the public sector, if we dare to say that we believe something or we support something other than the media-approved narrative, we're vote shamed. We're publicly shamed. We're called all sorts of names, racist, bigoted, homophobic. My favorite, though, is we are pawns of the patriarchy. I think that's my favorite phrase that came out of the election. But pawns of the patriarchy that enslaves us. But it is amazing that you can be anything in today's world, apparently, but a conservative woman.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and it's this whole splitting up of the country of really playing left against right that somebody's benefiting from this. Who are the beneficiaries from pitting one American against another?
Oh, well, I think that's easy. The political consultants, for one thing, and for another, the charitable groups, quote-unquote charitable groups that take money, often without paying taxes on it, to foment this sort of discord between American people. And when you walk the streets, when you talk to people, when you go about your ordinary life and through the holidays with your family, I don't know about you, but politics doesn't always come up, or certainly that's not the thing that binds us together as family, as friends, as community. And so normal people don't live in such a divided world. Well, that doesn't help the left. That doesn't help people that are trying to march forward this progressive agenda. And so they manipulate it on social media and on the talk shows and obviously in the mainstream media, and try to create this idea that we are that divided, that it is 50-50. And yeah, when we go to the polls, it might be. But that's not how it works in real life. And I saw much talk after the election of people calling on people who knew Republicans to not talk to them, to shame them, to actually divorce yourself from them. I saw that phrase used. We're not going to talk to them because they're just not even on the same moral plane that we are. And I just find that reprehensible that anybody would put a political party over family, over friendships, again, over community. That's not the way we're supposed to be. And the people that benefit from that are the same people that don't ever want there to be a solution to the problem.
Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like a civil war, brother against brother, family against family, neighbor against neighbor. I mean, is there a solution to this, or is the divide just too wide to bridge here?
No, the solution is easy, and it is millennia old. I love to point to the golden rule, do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. That has been the linchpin of many world religions, world philosophies, just the idea that we love our neighbor as much or more than ourselves. That is the answer, and as simplistic as it would be, that's the same thing I teach my children. It's the same thing I tell people when I make speeches. Treat people the way that you would want to be treated. And turn off Twitter. I mean, there are days that you just need to turn it off, or at least don't read the comment thread, right, on Facebook. Nothing is ever solved that way. And so maybe if we move away from trying to convince people on social media, or at least going and trying to use that as some kind of gauge of which way the wind blows, just love your neighbor, family, and friends and community has got to be the most important thing. And frankly, just don't buy what they're selling, because they win when we're divided. It's a divide and conquer strategy. They're trying it. They're trying it now. As minority groups move away from the left and the Democrat Party, you see that in the walk away movement.
Okay. Yeah, not enough of them walked away last election, though, did they?
Well, I mean, this is a beginning of something huge, and I don't think you can expect change completely overnight, but just like women are being told that they have to be progressive and are realizing that they have to stand up and speak out and say, that march does not represent me. That is not my march. This is not how I want to be, and you don't have my voice. You see minority communities all over the country doing the same thing. And so I think that as time goes on and we realize there's the party that's going to tell you what to do, and there's the party that says, hey, you know what? We want to create an economic environment where you have the freedom to make the choices that are best for your family.
Mm-hmm. And I totally agree with you. I mean, it just seems so commonsensical here, because, look, this is the way the country was founded, on these certain core values. If we no longer share them, Amy, then do we really have a country anymore?
Well, but I believe down deep we do share the core values. Look, I represent Moms for America, and moms are the same, right? No matter how you vote in the voting booth, we're all the same, and we want the same things. We want the best for our kids, the best for our family. We want their future to be brighter than our today, right? And so those are the core values, and we know, and as long as Americans embrace the fact that America is that land of opportunity to make that happen, then we do share those core values. And the beauty of our system is that we can argue all day long about how to get there. We have the framework in the Constitution, which is perfect in its simplicity, and as long as we abide by that. Now, I think we have the trouble when the people come in and they start, after every election, trying to change the rules of the Constitution. As you hear about them talking about the Senate and how the Senate representation isn't fair. Then we have trouble when our educational system has failed people to the point that they don't understand the basic way the brand new congress member in New York who didn't understand the three branches of government. So we have to keep working on that, but focusing on what we have in common and what we want to see in this country. And it's fine to argue how to get there. That's the beauty of the system. And as a capitalist, I believe that competition improves everything. So the more we debate over it, the better product we're going to have at the end. But as you know, when you start monkeying with the capitalism, that's when you don't get as good of a product. Yes,
that's very true. So what about their visceral reaction to the president here? Have you ever seen anything like that?
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next.
Egypt is on the verge, once again, becoming a world-renowned gold producer. The golden age is being rediscovered. For millennia, ancient Egyptian kingdoms prospered from unparalleled riches. Pharaohs built their empires and flaunted their abundant wealth that was made possible by the country's resource-rich gold deposits. Despite this rich history, modern Egypt remains one of the most underdeveloped gold mining countries in the world. Aton Resources is at the center of the modern Egyptian mining world, diligently working both as the only public exploration company in Egypt today and as the advocate for mining reform with the Egyptian government. However, those that arrive early like Eitan will reap the best rewards. Eitan's discovery of the legendary Lost Mountain of Gold at Rodruin and its current aggressive drilling program there could potentially reap those rewards. Eitan Resources is focused on its 100% owned Abu Marawat concession in the Arabian-Nubian Shield, located 200 kilometers north of Centamin Sakari's world-class gold mine. Eitan possesses first-mover advantage in the under-followed jurisdiction of Egypt, which is currently undergoing mining reform. To stay on top of Eitan's latest drill results and news, go to eitanresources.com. Eitan trades on the TSX-V under the ticker AAN and on the OTC under the ticker ANLBF.
The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
No, I haven't. I really haven't. And it's so dishonest. You know, if the same things were said to, obviously, President Obama, there would have created all sorts of controversy. But I honestly believe that the American people see through it. I believe that's why ratings of the major networks continue to fall. I believe that's why you see the subscriptions to the major print newspapers continue to fall. You know, people are turning to other sources because they're opening their eyes and realizing that this constant barrage against the president, you don't have to like the way he delivers the message, but look past that, the things that are happening, the good, positive things that are happening in this country. It is fine to disagree with the president, but you don't do so in a way that is violent, in a way that is so visceral, and in a way that is damaging to, you know, again, I know you didn't like the phrase the public discourse, but our discourse in this country. So I think there's a way to disagree, and there's a way to try to divide people so that you can enforce your will upon them.
Very true. I totally agree with you here. It's so common sense, and yet common sense is always something that's in very tight supply, isn't it?
Yeah, if common sense were a little more common, would be better off. But we were warned by Dr. Franklin, right, that we had a republic if we could keep it. That is on all of our shoulders to do our part. You know, again, Reagan said freedom's never more than one generation away from extinction. And although it's not all of our call to defend it, perhaps in the military, it is our call to defend it in the marketplace and in. And now you would add social media to that, but to stand up for what's right, to educate ourselves. We must be an educated electorate and to understand those founding principles of our country and to share them. And look, you asked what the solution was. We have to be the change. You and I and us individually take the responsibility. How can we do it better? How can I walk the walk and not just talk the talk of my conservative principles? That's what will make a difference, because that's what people are hungry to see, those kind of leaders that actually reflect the truth and reflect the principles that they believe in their daily life. Yeah.
I couldn't have said it better myself, Amy. So I don't know what part of the country you're from, but what are you seeing your neighbors? How are they reacting to these issues?
Well, I'm a Texan, and, you know, we tend to do things differently down here. But if you might have heard, there was a bit of a competitive race for the Senate here. It wasn't quite as competitive as the national media would have you believe. But on the day after the election, guess what? The signs came down.
Is that right?
And people that had dueling signs in the neighborhood, they came down. And people moved on, and now they put turkeys, and now we've got snowmen up in the yard. And, you know, we don't actually have snow down here, so, you know, we have to have those inflatable snowmen.
Yes.
But it's great, and it's just we still might disagree and get along, but at the heart of it, we're neighbors first. And if my next-door neighbor, it doesn't matter to me how she voted. What matters to me is that she's my neighbor, and in Texas, that makes you family.
Hey, you know, we're in it together. I mean, why is that so hard to understand here? And look, I wasn't particularly thrilled with the election of Obama, but you know what? We just went through it, went about our business, and you know, that was it. So what's the big deal?
I tell you, never once did I say he's not my president. I never ever uttered those words. I'm an American. I did not vote for him. But he was our president. And I taught my children the same thing. I taught my children, we never even said the word Obama. We said President Obama. And as much as they hear my speeches and I, you know, travel the state and talk about stuff, but I was always respectful to the office of the presidency, even though I vehemently disagreed with his policies. And I think that's the difference. That's what we're not seeing, is that basic level of respect of, hey, you may not have voted for him, but he is still your president.
Yeah, exactly. I know. And hey, the country has survived a lot of fools who were in the executive office, who were at 1600
right.
Pennsylvania Avenue, going back nearly to its founding. I mean, people who were totally unfit to be president. And somehow, you know what? They lasted one or two terms. Yeah. And yeah, so...
Well, isn't that the whole reason our country was set up the way it was? Mm-hmm. If you have a basic understanding of our government and the Constitution, no one man or one woman is supposed to have that much power. And that's the beauty of the system. So hate them if you want to. Celebrate the fact that we have a Constitution that has checks and balances and that separates and divides the power between those three branches of government so that no one person would ever have that kind of power. And that is the beauty of the vision that our founding fathers had. We will not go back to a monarchy or a dictatorship or ever be under a tyrant again.
And look how long it lasted for. You know, there were many...
Well, don't write it off yet.
Yeah. Hey, and we're still going. We're still going, and...
We're still in it.
Yeah, we're still in it. So it's kind of funny. And that's the other thing that I've noticed is that these hardcore leftists have zero sense of humor, Amy. You know, we're laughing. It's not really that funny, but we're laughing because there's humor to be found in it. And yet the left is incapable of anything resembling humor.
I agree. I absolutely agree. And to go back to the idea of the radical progressive feminist movement, you know, I challenge you to find somebody who's happy in that entire movement when you have made up your mind that you are a victim of the system and that you are part of a systematic oppression, or that you cannot rise to the level of what you want to be. It must be an unhappy place to be, and that peace comes from knowing who you are and whose you are and what your goal is and what your purpose is. And I think that, when you live in a land of liberty and you understand the concept of liberty and what that means and accept that personal responsibility that comes with it, it is freeing.
Yeah.
And you can laugh, as Proverbs says, you can laugh without fear of the future.
I totally agree with you. And having a sense of humor, I mean, so many studies have been done, Amy, showing that liberals really lack sense of humor. You watch these late night comics. Now, Johnny Carson was like totally apolitical. I'm sure deep down he was probably leaned a little bit to left of center, but he was equal opportunity. You know, if you were a politician and you did something that brought you to the forefront of the public's attention, he was going to go at you whether you were the president or a senator, regardless of your party. Now you turn on a late night television program and there's 15 Trump jokes just to get warmed up. And hey, whether you love Trump or hate him, it's irrelevant. That much humor, so-called humor, and they're not even funny. They're really not even funny. There's nothing funny about it. Like, there's a lot of funny things about Trump. He's got a lot of quirky personality issues, like the way he speaks, his appearance, his gaffes, which every politician has gaffes. Yeah. His Twitter feed. There's a lot of funny stuff there. And the fact is that during the campaign, and I'm sure you appreciated it, during his primary run-up, his bid to get the Republican nomination, he's up there on the stage and he's cracking jokes. Like the first debate when Megyn Kelly says, you know, you've called women dogs and pigs and all this. And he goes, only Rosie O'Donnell. And that was the end. She was destroyed. And what took her down was humor. And what took down little Marco Rubio? What took down low-energy Jeb? And... you know, you just go down the list here, Amy. It was really funny. And I'm sure that the left was laughing as they watched those debates, right? Because it was funny and they never thought the guy had a chance. Hey, my sense of humor is like I love watching election night coverage reels when all of a sudden it dawned on the collective left that Trump was going to be the president. That's some pretty funny stuff there. 'Cause they were like the despondency that set in. I mean, that was funny. But
well, I think a great example, talking about the late night comedy, did you happen to catch the story of Dan Crenshaw running for Congress in Texas and his appearance on Saturday Night Live?
That was great. That was wonderful.
First, they just mentioned him and they referenced him, and he does wear an eye patch due to an injury he sustained in one of his 3 tours of duty.
Yeah, there, but for the grace of God,
and
right?
People got outraged, and even people on the right were outraged and calling for Saturday Night Live to fire the Davidson gentleman and all that. But Dan Crenshaw had the best quote, and I think that's so important for us to remember. He said, "In my life, I try hard not to offend. I try even harder not to be offended."
Hey, that is such a great point. And that I think is the lesson of all of this is it's one thing you accidentally offend somebody, but when you're offended, you've made a conscious choice to be offended. And a little bit more circumspection, introspection, a little bit less sensitivity. And look, I mean, I made a determination with my children, they're all grown, that I am always going to have a positive relationship with them, that I will never let a fight or a disagreement injure our relationships. And so that's where that offensive thing really comes in, because your kids can get to you like family can get to you like nobody else. So you have to make an affirmative duty to get along with your family. Otherwise, family, you get these battles. So
it's called choosing to love, and that's exactly what I was talking about earlier. You choose to love, and frankly, I think you got to choose joy, and there's no room for a constant state of being offended if you choose joy. And what I teach my kids, I have a brand new teenager, so pray for us. But I'm just learning the ropes, a teenage girl. But what I tell them is, your entire life will be dictated by your response to the things that happen to you. You cannot always affect the things that will happen to you or the cards that you're going to be dealt.
Of course.
But your whole life will rotate and will develop over how you respond to them. And that is you're the captain of your ship. That is within your hands to make that decision, to choose love and choose joy and choose not to be offended. And so when people do lambaste me as a conservative woman, and they do say these things, and you kind of laugh about which things would make a great T-shirt slogan, right? Like Palms of the Patriarchy. That'd be awesome. I want a coffee cup with that on it. But you just laugh it off, and you think, I almost feel bad for them to be in a place where they're so full of hate, right? In the Christian faith, we're called to pray for those people that treat us like that. So, I think that's so important to just remember, to Dan's quote, try even harder not to be offended. And that would turn things around. If we could turn off the outrage machine on both sides, frankly. Conservatives could be as guilty of it as as liberals.
You know it. Oh, absolutely the truth. Hey, Amy, really appreciate your coming on with us and sharing your wisdom. If we want to find out more about you, connect on the web. Where do we find you these days?
Great. Well, you can go to the Moms March as a YouTube channel. We are Moms for America on Facebook and on Twitter. There's Instagram. We're all over the place. You can go to our website, Moms March USA. And we would love to have you come and check us out. And we'd love for women to get on board to read the Declaration of Mothers and see how we can, starting in the home, the very basic unit of government, how we can start to turn the ship around.
All right. We love what you're doing, Amy. Keep up the great work. Hey, again, if you want to connect, email us. I'll get it over to Amy, KL@KerryLutz.com, Twitter feed @KerryLutz, Facebook page, Financial Survival Network. If you're listening on YouTube, then please subscribe, like, and share. And if you're listening anyway and you really enjoy the show, share it with somebody. Send them a link to the show. We love getting all of you new FSN members coming on. It's constantly new people coming, discovering us, discovering our work, discovering people like Amy. Amy, thanks so much. Wish you the best of luck.
Oh, great. Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving. Well, I guess we're past that, aren't we? Merry Christmas to all you guys.
Oh, you're not allowed to say Merry Christmas. Happy holidays and Happy New Year.
Okay.
All right. Thanks
Bye-bye.
so much.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.